Italian with Francesca. This is episode 4, and today we're going to learn some more pronunciation rules. Learning to sound out a word in its syllables is very important in Italian. In fact, it's often how Italians will spell out a word, sounding it out in its syllables. So it will not only help your pronunciation, but also your spelling. Remember, once you've mastered Italian letters and their sounds, pronunciation and reading and spelling become quite straightforward. That's because in Italian, words are written as they sound, and you read a word as it's written. Very convenient. There are exceptions naturally, but to pronounce a word correctly, you usually stress the second last syllable. Let's look at some examples. Amare, amare. Italiano, italiano. Bene, bene. Lezione, lezione. Ragazza, ragazza. Mamma, mamma. Presto, presto. Giorno, giorno. Altro, altro. Finestra, finestra. Mio, mio. Farmacia, farmacia. Inglese, inglese. If there is an accent on the final letter of a word, then you stress that sound, that letter. Let's look at some of those examples. Perché, perché. Sì. Caffè, caffè. Università. Notice with pronouncing the word for university, there's no y sound, but a clean u. Università. Città. These accents are called accento tonico. So if you see an accent at the end of the word, stress that sound. When do we use capitals in Italian? Well, aside from at the beginning of the sentence, you also use them, like in English, for names of people and places, etc. The other time you would use a capital in Italian is when referring to centuries. For example, il 300, the 1300s, the 14th century, or il 600, the 1600s, the 17th century. They would have a capital. How about the intonation in Italian? Well, it's quite simple. When you're asking a question, make it sound like a question. So if you want to ask a question, make the end of the sentence inflect up so it sounds like one. Got it? Got it. Too easy? Too easy. Let's look at some more examples. Io sono Francesca. Io sono Francesca. Il museo è aperto? Il museo è aperto. If you really wanted to change the structure, you could place the subject il museo, in this example, the museum, at the end of the sentence and make it into a question. Il museo è aperto. Statement. È aperto il museo? Question. Okay? Okay. Now let's talk about some special sounds in the Italian language. You may remember that there is no letter J in the Italian alphabet or letter K in the Italian alphabet. So how do we write out these sounds? To discuss this, we're going to look at the letters C, chi, G, G, and the combination S and C. What we'll do now is look at these letters in combination with the 5 different vowels. I'll say the sound and you repeat. Ripetete, ripetete. Ci, c'è, co, ca, cu, G, J, go, ga, gu, she, she, sco, ska, scu. Bene. You will have noticed that the letters C, G and SC produced a soft sound ch, j, sh when followed by the vowels I and E. So I and E are softening vowels, whilst the other vowels O, A and U produced a hard sound ko, go, sko. So they're the hardening vowels. So we saw the sound chi and che, for example, soft ch sound. But what if I needed the sound ki or ke? How do I write that out? Well, what you do is you insert the letter H between the C and the vowel. Ki, ke. One way to remember that is H stands for harden or hard. So the H hardens the sound of those letters. The same thing happens with G. Gi, ge, and also the SC. Ski, ske. Great. With the hardening vowels, O, A and U, we saw ko, ka, ku. But what if I needed the sounds cho, cha, chu? How do we write those? Well, in this case, we insert the letter I between the consonant and the vowel. You can remember this by thinking I stands for ice cream. Ice cream's soft, so it softens the sound. Let's look at these ones. Cho, cha, chu, jo, ja, ju, sho, sha, shu. Great. So remember, H for hard, I for ice cream, soft. Something you can also remember, CH in Italian will always produce a hard k sound. So CH equals K, always. CH equals K, k. Okay, let's look at some other Italian sounds. GN, Gn. You might be familiar with this sound because of the yummy dish gnocchi. Gn, gnocchi. The sound almost sounds like an N and a Y squished together and said really quickly. Gn, gn. The next special sound are the letters G and L together. To help us understand this sound, it's a good idea to say the English word million. Million, million. Can you hear the y in that? Million. Well, it's very similar to the GL pronunciation in Italian. L. So when you see GLI, for example, You don't say gli, but you would say yi, yi. So that sound is pretty much like a Y and an L squished together and said really quickly. Y, l, y, y. The letter H exists in the Italian alphabet, however, you never pronounce it. It's always silent. You can see it at the beginning of a word, but you don't pronounce it. It's silent. For example, hanno. That means they have, and it has an H at the beginning. There is also the word anno, A-N-N-O. That means year. So they sound exactly the same, but the H helps us distinguish the two words. You will also see the H, as we've just learnt before, when we need to harden the sound, like chi or che or gi. Now let's talk about the Italian vowels. There are 5 vowel letters, but there are 7 vowel sounds in Italian. Let's say them together. Ripetete. A, E, I, O, U. Great. With E, with the grave open accent, E, you really open your mouth more. E. You're kind of smiling. E. The letter E with the grave open accent is pronounced E. It's an open sound. See if you can produce that sound with your tongue not touching the roof of your mouth. E. And remember, exaggerate the sounds. Pretend that you're singing a gorgeous opera at the Scala of Milano. E. The vowel E with an acute or closed accent, E, is more of a smile, but you don't really mean it. E. It's a closed sound. E. Let's compare the two, the open E and the closed E. E, E. E, E. The vowel A is similar to the English expression a, but short and staccato. A. Once again, see if you can produce the sound without your tongue touching the roof of your mouth. A. The I sound, I, in Italian, is very similar to the I in the English words mit, fit, pit, I. You know in English when something doesn't quite go to plan and we say, uh-oh. Well, those two uh-oh sounds are very similar to the two O sounds in Italian. Uh-oh, uh-oh. So we have the open O, and the closed O, uh-oh. The Italian sound for the letter U is very different to the English sound. In English we have a Y sound, Y. In Italian we don't. It's a pure U sound. The U in Italian is very similar to the U in the English words bull, pool, fool, oo. So how do we pronounce the Italian word for university? Università. 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 Now let's talk about diphthongs in Italian. This is when we have two vowels that produce one sound. For example, in the word piano, we have the two vowels I and A together, and they produce a Y-type sound. Y, piano. Let's look at another example. The word for man in Italian is uomo. So we have a U and an O together. These two letters together produce a W type sound. W, uomo. If you find that difficult, just split the sounds out and say u, o, m, o, u, o, m, o. And as you get faster, you'll end up saying uomo. Another common word with this sound is buono. Buono. Yum. Triphthongs also exist in the Italian language, and this is when we have two semivowels together with a third vowel. For example, the word miei. Miei. Again, if you like, you can split the sounds out and progressively say it faster. Miei, miei, miei. Tuoi, tuoi, tuoi. Now we come to double consonants. Double consonants in Italian are very important because they sound very different. Let's look at some examples. Rosa, rossa, pane, panna, casa, cassa, sono, sonno, lego, leggo, sera, serra, sano, sanno, speso, spesso. When pronouncing double consonants, remember to double pronounce that sound, exaggerate that sound. What you'll also end up doing quite naturally is pausing on the letter before, on the syllable before. Rosso, panna, versus rosa, pane. Did you notice one of the consonants changed sounds when it was singular versus when it was a double consonant? It was the letter S. Often when S is singular, it has a Z-type sound, like rosa, casa. But when the S is double, it has a clean, clear S sound. Rossa, cassa. Benissimo. Thank you so much for joining me for this episode. I hope you've found the pronunciation rules helpful, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Buona giornata. Ciao ciao.